All chanting in English today. Mm. Mm. Third one, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment, to the teaching which he expounded so well, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. To these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we render with offerings our rightful homage. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, still had compassion for later generations. May these simple offerings be accepted for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed One. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha. Now let us pay preliminary homage to the Buddha. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Chanting a recollection. And recollection, as I've said before, is a very valuable tool because we can do it more or less any time. It involves using thought, which is our primary activity, thinking. So using what you already don't have to sit still even to do it. And using thought, quite carefully pick up a thought that's worth picking up rather than just the stuff that's scrambling in, running in, just sprinkling around. A lot of thoughts are just like rabbits in a field, darting off in all different directions. Now you pick up one, maybe a small train of thought. You hold it, place it. This is vitaka. Pick up the thought, place it. Where do you place it? You place it in your heart. You place it where you can feel it. Mm. What's this mean to me? What's this about? What does it do? Mm. Vichara. Mm. And you do it again. And it's skillful. You then begin to really get the sense of just how potent thought is in generating resonances, moods in the heart. Normally, when we're thinking is just scurrying, what's left in the heart is scurrying. It's a kind of stirred, scattered experience. Mm. Even if they're good thoughts, they're quite correct, they're just scrambling so fast that we don't really get the full blessing of them, meaning of them. And this kind of thinking is quite common because the idea is to think quickly and to keep moving, you know, not to linger, not to contemplate. Therefore, one is kind of inducted into a process of scatteredness and distraction where nothing, the heart is just not fed. Not because we've done anything wrong, we just don't realize how the heart needs to be fed to give us where our faith comes from, a sense of value, integrity, well-meaning, good intention, inspiration. It all comes from there. You have to feed that. And this is how you feed it. And the very sutra I like to sometimes read because it's so lovely to read it when the Buddha talks to one of his kinsmen, Mahanama. He says, if you recollect the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and your own virtues, you recollect them, then you find balance in an unbalanced world. You find peace in a world that's not peaceful. And he says you can do this at home, sitting at home in the midst of all your children. So, stuff running around. You're still right in the midst of all this stuff. Just kind of, you can linger in it. And this is the basis for the shift from the world of the senses, well, from the world of going out, to turning, so we're coming back in. And so then as you're getting a right direction, you're also getting qualities that replenish and nourish. So a simple recollection I'd like to offer today, taking your time with it, called the recollection of the blessings, Mangala. So I recollect, I have been born in a human birth, which is considered the most skillful and capable vehicle for wisdom and awakening. There are many creatures that don't get this birth. This is a blessing. May I recollect this blessing. I have been born with a body and a mind that have capacity, that function. My senses, I can see, hear, I can think. Many beings don't get this. They're born with deep afflictions, incapable. May I recognize and recollect this blessing. I've been born at a time when the teachings of the Buddha are available, and I can hear them and read them, freely available every day. Many beings, many people don't get this. And recognize, and reflect upon this blessing. I can listen to teachings that go straight to the heart, are truthful, bring forth the best, and lead to peace and lack of conflict. Many people will never hear this. When I recognize, reflect upon this blessing. Today, at this time, I have shelter, food. I'm free from attack and imprisonment. I can practice this Dhamma. Many beings don't get this opportunity. May I recognize and reflect upon this blessing. Today, and many days, I have access to teachers who have experienced Dhamma or willing and happy to offer their guidance to me. May I recognize this, reflect upon this blessing. Today, I'm in the company of other beings who share my values, who hear these teachings, who are friends in these teachings, who support and encourage this. Many beings don't get this. May I recognize and reflect upon this blessing. So take your time, and any of these phrases that come to mind that are meaningful for you, that cause a light to arise, to cause the heart to stir, be steadied, uplifted. Linger in that quality, dwell upon it. It becomes a foundation for truth, clarity, and peace. And when you feel a certain mood arise that's wholesome, Stay with it and see, can you feel your breathing and the quality of the breathing, the energy of that, the quality of the mind state when they meet. Take this whole process of purification deeply into the tissues, the fabric of your being. So just including briefly this process so that, for example, this is something you can do in 10 minutes, even last thing at night or first thing in the morning. Just notice how just a few minutes that where it takes you to, and the kind of where thoughts that are skillful and helpful, recollecting the effect they have on stabilizing, comforting, uplifting one's heart. And you can notice in that just how other thoughts like scurry around rather like flies, and they can still be there. Thoughts about what I have to do or this, that, and the other. But you've got like they're out there. They're not intruding. And you can, of course, if you take this more deeply into meditation, you can really close the door on those distracting, useless thoughts and spend some time replenishing, refreshing, and nourishing.
Brahmachaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjali Anadi Varamaya Chata Santira Sata Parajakajatika Dese tu Dhammam Anukampimam Pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, we'll talk about truth today. Truth. Sometimes it's said we're in the post-truth age, which is pretty disturbing. Post-truth age means any kind of rumors, misinformation, direct lies can be broadcast at any time through media, through social media, through news, through speeches, through politics, politicians. The boundaries have gone. Uh, and so in this scenario, to the degree to which that's true, we're in this constant whirl of inflammatory input and chaos and mistrust because you don't know who to believe in or anybody or anything. Your sense of that truthfulness is valid and necessary is also shaken because clearly for some people that's not the case. Truth is not important. So this is immensely destructive because it basically destroys society. If you don't know what to believe, who to believe in, then there's no connection, is there? We can't, you know, you can't really, you don't trust anyone, then basically that's the end of society. And if it's the end of society, then, brutality and abuse becomes prevalent. Mm. Mm. And why it's said in the Dhammapada, one who deliberately tells the untruth, there is no evil they will not do. Because once that standard has disappeared from reckoning, then everything else goes. truth is the fundamental medium of placing oneself in a mutual world. I mean, you mean something to me, I mean something to you. In order to maintain you, me, there has to be a truthful connection. Otherwise, there's no me, there's no you see what I mean, So though we might feel that the worst precept is killing, what makes killing possible, harming to a gross degree, is the lack of truth. So we see clearly, in a more global sense, when there's a lot of propaganda and misinformation and narratives are extremely saturated with bias, then wars break out and they're justified as, because of facts that aren't actually facts. So this makes violence possible. And those we violate, we don't really connect to because there's no truthfulness going on. There's no sense of mutually belonging to anything. We're not on the same planet. My sense of truth is so important, and we see this both at the kind of once at the everyday level of just actually trying to really speak truthfully, or at least to not speak deceitfully, not with the intention to speak deceitfully, and then to begin to actually work on that precept to even avoid kind of twisting things a bit or exaggerating or useless speech. So when we look at this, then truth is not just a matter of 2 and 2 equals 4. That's an abstract truth, because clearly 2 apples and 2 motorbikes don't equal 4 anything. It's a mathematical truth, but it's not a real truth. So truth is that which gives us a sense of meaning, and meaning in terms of relationship. I'm here, you're here. This stands up. Thoughts and moods can come and go, but this stands. This is why it's so important, because if you don't have truth, there's nowhere to stand. It's just moods and feelings and impressions and desires and fears and anxieties. So there's no kind of stable place. So satya, truthfulness, gives us atta. Atta means meaning. Atta is not the same as atta. Atta is self. Atta is meaning, often associated with the goal. So the goal here is purification of the mind. Clearly, what one speaks is because one thinks. What one thinks, one will speak. What other people say, you will think, and so on and so on. So speech and thought go together, and thought necessarily has its internal impact on stirring and angling the mind. So if we just review again right speech, what a beautiful recollection. One gives up false speech and refrains from false speech. One speaks the truth, is reliable, firm, and trustworthy, and does not deceive people. One gives up malicious talk and abstains from malicious talk. If he has heard some gossip here, he will not speak it out elsewhere in order to cause contention. Thus he becomes a conciliator of enemies or a creator of friends. One rejoices in peace and speaks words that make for peace. The truth is then associated with this firm internal quality of firm, reliable, trustworthy. Trustworthy means now there can be relationship. Without that, there's no relationship. How can there be? Avoiding malice, then the next benchmark is peace. The dissensions and conflict subside. One gives up bitter, harsh speech and refrains from bitter or harsh speech, but such speech as is gentle, agreeable to listen to, kindly, heart-stirring, courteous, agreeable to many people. Such words one will speak. One gives up foolish gossip and refrains from foolish gossip or foolish chatter. Just unloading agitated noise from your head into other people. One speaks at the proper time. So wisdom here. What is the proper time? We have to have some sampajanya, which is time and place, contextual awareness. Is this the right time? Is this the right place? Am I in the right space? Am I annoyed or agitated? It's not the right time. Person's distracted, not the right time. So the proper time, one speaks the truth, one speaks what is useful. And there's occasion where the Buddha says, lots of things I know, but I don't always say anything. I only speak what's true and useful. So then we're getting the real sense of like speech as a gift. Not just me unloading my noise into your ears, or even just entertaining, but something that is a gift that you can take in and weigh up and linger with and remember. That's why it's useful and it's profitable. It means take that piece and you can remember it and you can use it. Such a blessing to be able to say anything like this, and at the right time. It doesn't have to be that intellectually profound. It could be just something like, oh, yes, everybody feels like that at times. You're not alone. This is not intellectually dazzling, but at the right time, that's a very good thing to say. One speaks about practice and about training. Dhamma, practice, training, vinaya in monastic terms, but whole sense of looking at standards of conduct and how we can manage that. How useful is that? How useful is it to get tips on how we manage with food, with internet, with business, with work, with responsibilities, how we manage, how we train ourselves, how we give each other advice. So training is not just moral, it's also how you're going to get through, how you're going to get on in this world, and any advice. Training what you can filter out and what you can turn to. So at the proper time, one will speak such words that are worth remembering, well-grounded, purposeful, and profitable. So, it's kind of beautiful, seemingly daunting at times, like in many of these standards are, but you say, just make an effort. Make an effort. It's as close as that thing that's rising up in your throat. It's as close as that thing that's running through your brain. You can just get that, turn it. It's that close. Yeah. And next moment it's another chance. And in 5 minutes' time there'll be another chance. And tomorrow there'll be 100 chances to just do that. Just to say, not that one. Yeah. This one. Yeah. And the right time, the right place. So the Buddha said, I never tell the opposite not true. Sometimes there's things that are true and they disturb people, but I know the right time and the right place to say it. Sometimes things that are true and delight people, I find the right time and the right place to say it. So this is a master of truth and speech because he knows the citta, he knows his own, and he knows that of other people, how to encourage, because there's one meaning he's trying to get across. How can I use these words to bring you out of confusion, distress, to your own peace? He said sometimes it's like you've got something stuck in your roof of your mouth. Maybe you have to actually get it. You might have to draw blood to get it out, but it's worthwhile because it's going to choke you if you don't get it out. Yeah. So this we might say is our, our foundation as trainees. And you might say, one thing you can always bear in mind is it's all right to pause, to not say anything. Really to get that there because there's so much whip crack, reactive speech, and it's almost always wrong or not quite right. And just be able to pause and say, just give me a minute. Let me think about that. Not certain yet. I'll get back to you on that. That's really worth thinking about. So it's not, you're not showing, you're not saying you're unwilling. You just want to give it time because I want to say something that really is useful. And they don't just happen like that. They've got to be carefully placed. Maybe it's 30 seconds even, sometimes tomorrow. So never being embarrassed about not being able to come back with a quick reply is very important. This way we abandon impulsiveness and compulsiveness and just wrapping out slogans. So you can see clearly in cultivating right speech, it's truthful, it's also meaningful, and it causes the abandoning of greed, manipulation, aversion, hatred, jealousy, stirring people up. So it's the more we can cultivate that, and you notice the results. I've said what is true, what's right, I feel good about. What's that feel like? Whether somebody believes me or doesn't believe me, I can only take responsibility for what I say. I can't take responsibility for what you hear and what you think about it. I can't do that. But I can take full responsibility for what I say, so I can do that. It gives you a sense of firmness, stability, poise. Yeah. And how does that feel? Because what's meaningful in this training is not just intellectually it makes sense, but you get this like an embodied resonance. You sort of feel you feel upright, and actually you feel yourself. Something in you strengthens. Yeah, this is somatic. Yeah, and so many times, as you know, my teaching is really trying to remind us of this very fundamental embodied quality the Buddha was encouraging, to be able to not to use the bodily steadiness as a template. If it doesn't sit right there, it's probably not right. If it makes me feel agitated and fluttery and distracted and spitting out, then it's not right. If it gives me a sense I can really stand here with that, that's probably right. It's probably good. And using that because there's so much conjuring with words and speech. They're magical. And sometimes of magic is black magic. You know, you can create in 3 or 4 minutes, you can create a world, a fantasy, or an opinion, or a caricature of another person out of nothing. Sometimes that's black magic. So instead, we use that to, can I cultivate, can I bring back, can I picture, can I get a feeling for Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha virtue? White magic. And then what's that do? Yeah. And then, of course, we can let go of that, reside in that stability. This is usefulness of clear thinking, truthful thinking, thinking that's meaningful, profitable, and useful. Now, of course, truth is also used in terms of Four Noble Truths. It's also called, Nibbana as the truth, the ultimate truth, Paramatta Satya. Or Paramatta can sometimes be translated as that word atta again, atta, goal, or meaning, or worth, atta. Paramatta, the highest value, the highest worth, the highest meaning is Nibbana. Yeah, Paramatta. Yeah? So, because what's the highest meaning is there's no stress, there's no agitation, no shaking, no wavering, and there's no pressure. So we might say these are felt experiences of liberation. So often we're dealing with, when we're looking at speech or truthfulness, we have to recognize one of the most powerful magical tricks that words and thought do is create me. They create me. They create me. I talk about myself, I think about myself, I value myself, I judge myself. I do this kind of, something in me does this sort of conjuring trick. And in that, what it does is it picks up various memories, perceptions, assessments, measurements, and it generates a me in that web. And so this, and in that process is fast moving, something compulsive. Um, it's mesmerizing, and yet it never arrives at something that is free from pressure, spacious, stable, calm. And when you feel that sense of me in the body, it generally needs something. It's a feeling of not incomplete, and there's a sense of something is having to hold it together. Yeah. And it's generally afflictive thoughts. You're not good, you're not, should be, you shouldn't be, you weren't, you would be, why don't you? Because of this or because of that. So this is very much what I call the me bag, which is generated. So mind runs around inside this cage called the me bag or the me box. There's no real truth in it in terms of a meaning that goes to the heart and causes it to stabilize and feel comfortable and free in that sense. What it arrives at is a sense of incompletion and stress. And in that incompletion and stress, the thing is, what do I do? How can I get? What do I stop being? How do I get rid of things in order to be something else? So this is called the whole process of tanha, craving, and trying to become something. So all this goes on in this conceived me, yeah. And some of these things are pretty uncomfortable. Our fixations on maybe things we should have done, feeling a sense of regret, things we want to do, feeling unfulfilled, things we like to do, we feel we can't do, feeling of frustration, feeling of being judged by others, sense of resentment or unhappiness, and these fixations. And in this process, we recognize there's a whole kind of loop of emotions that when one of these self impressions arises, it arrives in this running, fast running loop of emotions with often repetitive thoughts going on in that. And because it's so, the speed of it and the looping of it generates something that seems to be permanent because it's constantly nagging. But it's actually a constantly jittering, moving thing that's moving like something stuck in one place, like a fly stuck in jam, so it's moving, yet it seems to be constant, like something trapped, So that must be me, stuck. but, but so okay, so then clearly, if there were no sticking, what would the me be? The me would probably stick onto something else, We conceive of ourselves in some other way. So this fixation called clinging, and it's not something we do, it's something that happens it's not I don't cling, but clinging is the glue that sticks all these emotional loops together and that generates me. I don't generate clinging, clinging generates the stuck me, yeah? Right? That's the way the process goes. And we have certain qualities in that. You have the perception, which could be memories, words, fantasies, what other people think, what I should be, complete projections, fantasies. Yeah. And then we have feeling, pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling. And then we have got sankhara, which is this volitional urge, which is sort of like, which the kind of propulsion, activation of it. We get triggered and it starts vibrating. And then it's triggering to try to change it or get out of it or make something out of it. So you get this kind of very high speed triggering effect. And the whole thing is it's unpleasant. So then what happens is people try to distract something else or just basically stuck in this kind of overwhelmed state, closed down or feel hopeless or deluded by it. This is delusion. And of all the bases, greed, hatred, and delusion, the Buddha says delusion is the most difficult to shift. Greed, you can see it, you can know it, you can say, come on, once you get it. Hatred, yeah, well, it's not very nice, yeah, but feels pretty bad. Yeah, let go of it. Delusion says this is really stuck, really tricky to shift. You've got to investigate it. This is the one where the thing is stuck in your throat and it might have to stick a finger down there to pull it out. It might be a bit uncomfortable. And what one is encouraged to do is to actually slow down the tape loop. So maybe I'm feeling guilty about something I didn't do right 3 years ago. Feeling really guilty and, oh dear, what can I do about it? I'm really a stupid person. Stupid idiot. Just typical thing I do all the time. I'm so stupid. I could have done better. I probably, this thing builds up. And this kind of guilt generates this guilty person. Once you've generated a guilty person, The guilty person then thinks of other things she or he is guilty of and why they're actually a flawed, failed person. So it kind of embeds down into doubt and depression. Now, then the thing is to not try and get rid of it. This is the painful bit. Don't try and get rid of it. It's like you've got something stuck in your throat. Don't try and swallow it. You've actually got to get in there, pull it out if it means kind of, whoa, uncomfortable. And you don't go to get rid of it, you slow it down. The mood of it, the feeling. Perhaps you feel it in your body, stirring around. And wait a minute, where that's happening in my heart, in my skin, or in my belly. You go whole body, what's happening in my back, my spine, my feet, my fingertips. Oh, that's not the whole truth, is it? So the nature of real meaning is it covers everything. So, for example, if I say, yeah, well, I'm a man, that's not lying, but it's not actually a complete truth. Because my happiness is not male or female. My wisdom is not male or female. My sorrow is not male or female. All things I find quite important. My truthfulness is non-sexual. My renunciation, nothing about that. The things that most valuable pieces that cover everything I'm about are actually nothing to do with being a man. So they're not, being a male is not particularly meaningful. What is more meaningful is I truthful, yeah, and that's cover everything, yeah. So we're trying to come to the wholeness. So we've got the whole picture. Body is like this, and you can really get some sense of perspective on that felt experience. And then actually, what I want now is not pleasure or pain. I just want truth. The truth is there is an unpleasant memory that is distressing. It's there. Now, rather than trying to get rid of it, there's an unpleasant memory, an unpleasant perception. You make it into an object. There's an unpleasant memory, an unpleasant perception. And in truth, I know I cannot change the past. No way, cannot be changed. If that memory is distorted or not, I can't say. But all memory is distorted. But now it's causing this uncomfortable feeling I don't want, because when I'm in that uncomfortable feeling, I get generated as really pretty scummy and distasteful. Well, instead of that, just there's an unpleasant feeling. It's not a person. Okay? It's an unpleasant feeling. It's not a person. Person, or the wholeness, is bigger than that. This is just something stuck in my throat. Doesn't mean the rest of me is stuck in it, just stuck in the throat. Once you get that sense of slowing down and seeing reconnection of the felt experience, the pleasure or the painfulness, mostly it's the uncomfortableness, as a phenomenon, and I want to get rid of it. Don't try and get rid of it. Try and get rid of it, you create more activation, more disturbance. You want to have a steadiness there. Okay? And you keep returning to what is actually truthful and meaningful. And you begin to recognize, wait a minute, why is this disturbing me? Because actually the truth of the matter is I'm someone who values integrity. That's why any loss of integrity upsets me. I'm someone who values kindness, so any act of unkindness that I may have committed, that bothers me, right? I'm someone who values restraint. Any act of impulsive loss of restraint, it concerns me. That's why I feel regret. Oh, what's bigger than the regret, bigger than the guilt, is the integrity. If there were no integrity, we wouldn't care. If there were no fundamental sense of moral empathy, morality, we wouldn't care. If there was no sense that other people matter, it wouldn't concern me that I just said something stupid to somebody. So the bigger truth, the real truth is that more fundamentally, my mind, my heart is anchored, centered around integrity and truth and peace and kindness. That's why these flaws, when things went wrong, disturb me. Now we've come to truth, and we've come to peace. And next is called relinquishment. Don't try and get rid of the feeling or the memory. Relinquishment, who is that? Who is that person who makes mistakes? Let her go. Forgive her. Let her be. It's purely a magical trick. Mm. And this one returns to non-conceiving. I do not conceive myself as this or as that. And I do not conceive myself as right or wrong. I know integrity, that's not self. I know loving kindness, that's not mine. It's not like I am it. I can't claim it. So the relinquishment is a relinquishment of that self-view. In this way, abiding in truth, abiding in the truth that covers the whole of your experience, the truth that where you feel stabilized, is the means of deliverance. And we know there is stress, suffering, there's an origin, craving, there's a ceasing, and there's a path. This sin is the noble truth, of which all truths that are really meaningful lead on in that way. So offer this for your reflection today.
Andamayam Dhammakataya Sadhu Karanda Dhammase Sadhu 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 Anumodami.
Someone has raised a hand. Need to step away. Okay, Susanna, bye. Yeah, one of the kind of pieces of protocol about the floating room is you can float out of it at any time. Don't feel embarrassed. If you've got to go somewhere, you can go. And obviously, it's a shame if you miss it, but you can pick it up later. So please don't feel kind of stuck or unhappy about leaving. It's great if you can stay with it, and of course, it's the most important thing. It's if you get something out of it, that's all that counts. So consider some of these things, and hopefully you can put them into practice. So what is there to say? Well, next time, September, we'll have a question session. I prefer to do questions, putting them into the Dhamma tracks comments box, if you can navigate there. Otherwise, if you can always put them in a chat here. But I like to have them in advance so I can think things through to come up with more careful responses to your inquiries. And they're always useful. And they're always useful. So thank you very much, and we'll sign off with the triple gem, and I'll take leave for today. Vaguely enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha.
Nampa. Please accept 3 respectful bows with a lot of gratitude and appreciation for all of us here. First bow. Second bow. Thank you once again for a beautiful session. It really moved many of our hearts. So if you would like to review the video, it will be uploaded onto the YouTube channel as well as the audio tracks.
Okay. Well, let's hope we can float together in the lovely Dhamma realm for many, many a year to come. Take good care.
Take care, Lampa. See you.